anybody not ready? Okay, I'll go ahead and start. This evening, or this morning actually, we will provide an update on the incident that happened earlier today in the 200 block of Redwood Avenue. And that update will be provided by Deputy Chief Paletta, Dave Paletta. He is the acting chief while Chief Hahn is out of the country currently. So without further ado, I will introduce to you Acting Chief, Deputy Chief Dave Paletta.
Thank you for being here tonight. Dave Paletta, P-E-L-E-T-T-A. This is a follow-up to an initial briefing we provided earlier tonight. As you know, our officers handled a call in the 200 block of Redwood Avenue to mediate a disturbance between a male and a female. As we informed you earlier, one of our officers was shot during the incident with what we believe was a rifle. Additional resources were utilized to rescue the officer and transport her to the hospital. I'm sad to share with you tonight that we lost one of our own. Officer Tara Christina O'Sullivan died at the hospital. Officer Tara O'Sullivan was shot and killed. She gave her young life while protecting our community. Tara was hired by the Sacramento Police Department in January of 2018. In July that same year, she entered our police academy as Academy Class 18BR2. She graduated later that year in December of 2018. Tara was in phase training and scheduled to shadow in a couple of weeks, which basically means that she was scheduled to go on her own. We're devastated tonight. There are no words to convey the depth of sadness we feel or how heartbroken we are for our family of our young, brave officer. The men and women of our department will continue to do our jobs to protect the community, and we will draw from the strength and courage of Tara. Our hearts are with Tara's family, whose pain can hardly be imagined. Our department has been called on before to shoulder the immense grief of losing an officer, and we have done so in honor. I'm confident we will do so again, and in doing so, we will honor Tara and the courage that she showed yesterday. Our hearts are with Tara's family, whose pain can hardly be imagined. We ask all of our community to hold their family in their thoughts and prayers. This continues to be an active incident. We will provide additional information with more detail as we continue to take every step to peacefully resolve this situation. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Sacramento City Mayor Steinberg to provide a few words.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief, Acting Chief Paletta. I'm very grateful to be joined by my colleague, Councilmember Angelique Ashby from District 1 as well. This is a horrible night for the city of Sacramento. To Tara's parents and family, and Tara's fellow officers, I am so sorry. As a father of a 25-year-old daughter, I grieve with you. As mayor of the city Tara was sworn to protect, we are heartbroken, and we are here for all of you every step of the way. Every day, in service to all of us in Sacramento, our police officers leave home knowing there is a possibility that they will never return. Today, that horrible possibility has become the devastating reality for Tara O'Sullivan, her family, her friends, her classmates, and her fellow officers. It is now our horrible reality as a city family and a broader community. It has been 20 years since our department has lost one of its own in the line of duty, but our last two academy classes have each lost an officer in the line of duty. Both Natalie Corona and Tara O'Sullivan had bright futures ahead of them. They were committed to our communities, committed to protect and serve selflessly. They had big dreams and even bigger hearts. Tara was a child development major from Sacramento State. She was committed to service. She was in the first graduating class of a groundbreaking program at Sacramento State, the Law Enforcement Candidate Scholars Program, known as LEX, the first of its kind in the nation. The program emphasizes the importance of inclusion and cultural competence for future law enforcement leaders, of which Tara undoubtedly would have been. She graduated from our December Sacramento Police Academy and was completing her training at just 26 years old. Our thoughts are also with the officers tonight who are still engaged with the incident that led to Tara's tragic death. May they, the officers who are still out there, end this tragic evening in safety. This is not fair, and it is not right. Tonight, Councilmember Ashby and I met Tara's family and her academy classmates. Our grief pales in comparison to theirs. In Tara's memory, we will support her family today and in the many, many days ahead. And we will honor and support her classmates and all of the men and women who proudly wear Sacramento blue. They deserve that and much more. Thank you.
La información nueva que tenemos sobre este incidente es que el oficial que sufrió una herida de bala durante este incidente, tristemente ella murió. Su nombre es Tara O'Sullivan y es un oficial con nuestro departamento y estamos muy tristes por lo que pasó y estamos aquí por su familia y agradecemos el apoyo de nuestra comunidad.
I mentioned earlier, we're not going to be able to talk a lot of the specifics because we're still trying to actively, resolve the situation. And so our goal is, as we work through this and hopefully have a peaceful resolution, we'll provide a more detailed update later today or whenever, we're able to. So is there anything I can answer with regards to what I covered?
What time is she?
Yeah. So it was after 6 o'clock, and then around 6:59 is when she was transported to the hospital.
Were there officers injured?
Not aware of any other injuries at this point.
It's kind of tough to speculate, but that 40 to 45 minutes when she was unable to be assisted because you guys were being shot at, any idea if that would have possibly saved her life or where she got hit was fatal out of sequence?
Yeah, I can't comment on that just yet. She was in a position where it took additional resources for us to be able to safely rescue her.
Was she the first officer who responded to the scene?
She was partnered with the training officer, but there were other officers that were also there. So when they arrived, there were several other officers also there.
Can you tell us what's happening right this moment?
So we have several tactical teams out that have surrounded the home. And so the goal is we want to negotiate with the suspect and have him peacefully surrender.
And this may take the entire night.
takes as long as it takes. We don't rush anything, and, time is always on our side in these incidences.
Obviously, heartbreaking for the department, for law enforcement communities throughout the state, the country, but a few words just about what she meant to your department, something unique you can tell us about her to carry on her legacy.
So she was a pre-hire, and while I was out at the scene, I was talking to her previous captain. And she worked kind of as an administrative staff before she went into the academy. And the captain shared that she had one of these bubbly personalities, but was always just willing to help. Didn't know what she was doing a lot of the time, but had that willingness to help. And so clearly that calling to be a police officer and those traits, followed her to want to do this job. So he spoke very highly of her.
How old was she again?
26, yeah. I don't know the answer to that. They did not go to the same academy, but, in this profession, we cross a lot of paths.
Could you speak to maybe what's happening previously at the hospital tonight? Officers from all over the area were there, as you know. If you could just kind of set the scene for us of what that was like.
So, when one of these types of tragedies happen, the first thing that we want to do is get a hold of, in this case, the deceased parents, Tara's parents, and make sure that they were aware of everything that's going on. But we have two different scenes going on. We have the hospital scene where she'll will have received a ton of support from her academy classmates and all those people that work her shift. But then in this case, which is somewhat unique, we still have another active scene where we have officers trying to deal with that. But to answer your question, we try to be as respectful as possible, and hospital still has to do their job. They still have emergencies going on, so we try not to dominate their business and take it over. But in the same thing, or in the same respect, we want to honor Tara and what happened tonight, because she's a hero. And so what happened is, after she went through surgery and was pronounced deceased, they set up a room for her where we could accommodate visits. Before this press release started, we had a procession to take her to the coroner's office, and lined by, marked cars with their lights and sirens on. So it's all out of respect.
What does that say? Is it just an unfortunate coincidence? Is it something that, officers need to be more aware of?
No, I mean, number one, I think it speaks to there's a lot of pride, actually, in the seriousness with which our police department takes creating a more diverse department. It's actually a very powerful thing. And it's incredibly inspiring, to Angelique and myself to be out there tonight and to talk to her fellow academy graduates and those still in the academy. At such a young age, to dedicate yourself to the public service in a most dangerous profession, but in a profession where you can constantly be about helping people. I mean, what a role model. What an incredible role model. And the fact that she was a young woman, just like Natalie Corona, it's breaking barrier. It's breaking barriers. I hope she's remembered for that, and it inspires other young women to choose not just careers in public services, but careers in law enforcement, because it's a proud profession.
May I? Obviously, we can't say much about what happened tonight, but I wouldn't want any young girls to walk away thinking that this happened because she was a woman. No. Nor did it happen to Natalie Corona because she was a woman. This will increasingly happen to women because women are joining the police force in increasing numbers. There were 7 women in Tara's graduating class. That's a bigger number than we normally have. And so statistically, when this happens, it could happen to women as easily as it could happen to men. Both of these young women were known for being tough. You asked for something interesting about Tara. Here's something fun and interesting that the mayor and I were told by several of her classmates. She did a 30-minute plank during the academy. She's tough. She's strong. There was no one more fit or ready than Tara O'Sullivan to represent the city of Sacramento in our fine police department tonight. This had nothing to do with her being a woman. It had to do with her being a hero.
Chief, the last briefing that we heard, I think it was about 9 o'clock, and you said that within the last 40 minutes, the last shot was fired by the suspect. Since then, he's fired any shots at all, and if not, is that at least a bit of a hopeful sign for you?
So I can tell you, I was up at the scene until probably 11:30, and he was still actively firing randomly up until that time. Now, I haven't been monitoring the radio since, but yeah, he was still actively firing.
Chief Vance was talking about earlier at the briefing that Joe was just mentioning about that window of 40 minutes where you were unable to get to her because of safety. Can you walk us through that process a little bit more about what entails, what goes into that? And then we were also hearing reports that she was able herself to radio for backup. Is that something that you can confirm after being shot?
I don't want to comment on that just yet because I don't know how, as I sit here right now, how the rescue was performed. So,
Can you just go over the generics of why it's so important to, even though you have an officer down, you're protecting your entire force from this person who's shooting?
sure. So, when you have a tragedy like that, a lot of things are going on, but, the first thing you think of is what safety equipment can we put between our officers and the person firing or the area that's getting fired upon. And in this case, we try to use an armored vehicle, but because of the location where she was at, made it very difficult to get the armored vehicle there. But, to answer your question as simply as I can, we try to put personnel. We don't do any good if we send personnel up just to have more people hurt or injured. And so some of these things, unfortunately, they take time and you strategically have to think through them. And of course, you always have the terrain that sometimes you have to navigate too. So, the best I can answer right now without knowing the specifics is we try to use all the equipment we can to do something safely so we don't have more tragedies like this. I don't know the answer to that.
Any idea of the follow-up press conference in the morning? I know it was the morning, but later on today.
We'll try to brief you as soon as we have some other significant developments in this. So, we'll hope that this will be peacefully resolved, and we will have one in a couple of hours just to let it know how resolved.
I just want to reiterate again for the officers that are still out there. The community wants to rally to pray for their safety because they're still in harm's way.
Chief or Mayor, for the rest of the community watching, those that have been evacuated, is the community safe right now? The sky has had dozens and dozens of rounds of ammunition.
I'll speak to that one. That's a good question, and we really want your help relaying this message to the community. As we said earlier, we do believe that this subject does have a rifle, and he has shot this rifle multiple times, obviously shot and killed one of our officers. And as Deputy Chief Pletta indicated, as of not too long ago, he was still firing this weapon. So we do want help in relaying the message that the area is still dangerous at this time, and we do not want people in the area because we do not want anybody else being harmed.
Sergeant Chandler mentioned that Chief Hahn is out of town, and so, he's certainly aware and been briefed on this incident, and he should be back this morning at some point, so he might be able to provide some updates also.
Any further questions?
Should we be looking on Twitter for updates or what you think as far as the next press conference or briefing?
We will provide any updates on our Twitter feed, and then also we will send out emails. We want to make sure that we keep everybody informed.
Maris, do we know who this suspect is, or is it at this point, you still don't know, or I was wondering if we're keeping it under wraps right now, or, if we have any idea?
We have some preliminary information that we believe may be the subject, but there's no way we can confirm that until, obviously, we are in direct contact with him and we're able to confirm his identity.
And he's the only person in that house right now?
At this time, based on the information we have, that is what we believe, yes.
There's a lot of agencies involved in mutual aid. Can you speak to how many departments are involved right now?
I don't have that number. I can tell you that there's a lot of agencies, and we are very grateful for the response. And, law enforcement agencies, fire department agencies, all of them were very grateful and appreciative for their teamwork and collaboration, and we can't thank them enough.
How long will the shelter be open?
So we do have a shelter available where we are taking people and residents from the area that have been evacuated. In that shelter, thanks to Twin Rivers PD, one of the many local agencies who have helped us out, is at Sebastian, do you have that? The name of the school?
So at Noralto Elementary, at 477 Las Palmas.
477 Las Palmas, Noralta Elementary. And I don't have that number.
Can you just confirm, she was helping the woman in the domestic dispute retrieve items from her home when she was shot?
Well, again, this is all based on preliminary information, and there's a lot that's been involved. This has been a very complex incident, and we are still out there dealing with an active scene, so we still have a lot of information that we have to process to get the exact answers. But the initial information that we have is that our officers were there to help a female who was gathering property. Well, thank you for coming this morning. As we said earlier, we will provide updates as we do have them, and we will update that via our Twitter feed, and we will send out an email.